I'm Ray Revis. I'm a local McDowell beekeeper. I'm a third-generation beekeeper, and we're on a farm that my granddad had, Naaman Revis, and he was a beekeeper too. So I have a tradition in the family of beekeeping, and all these fields at one time we farmed and had gardens and corn and tobacco, and now it's pretty much a bee farm. Beekeeping has been an integral part of McDowell history for a lot of years. Most farm families kept honeybees. It was a treat to have sweets in the early days of the county. So most families did keep a couple hives of bees and kept some honey to sweeten different things, and it was used for also selling to make a little extra cash to have a cash economy here in the county. But now we have a lot of hobbyist beekeepers or sideliners, not big beekeepers here in the county like they would in the Midwest, but we have a large number of beekeepers. And we're just trying to continue a tradition that, you know, our grandparents and parents started, and it's actually a lot of fun. I actually started with 2 hives when I got back into beekeeping, and now we have about 300. So beekeeping is a great hobby. It gets you out with nature, and you learn a lot. Now in this mating yard here, we have a variety of all of our genetics. Now like this one here, these bees here, the queen came from another beekeeper, another part of the country, and it's what we call a drone mother. We want lots of boy bees from this hive to mate with our queens. And on the front of the hive it says WPDM, which means white purple drone mother. And so we know that that is a drone source queen. On this hive here we have a YG on it. That means that's one of our queens out of our line queens, we call them, the genetics that we're maintaining, which is yellow-green. Keeps it simple. We have 2 colors. And on this hive here we have what we call a YG line queen. That's a yellow-green. This queen here is the mother of the queen in the box down here. And she came from the USDA Baton Rouge Bee Lab, and we use her to produce a lot of our queens. We have several of these, what we call line queens for genetics. These queens have been tested. They're good honey producers, they're gentle, and they're disease resistant. Now these are small mating nukes here. This is where we make our queens. This particular hive has had a new queen introduced into it, and when I say introduced, it's literally introducing the bees to a strange queen, just like you would 2 people. You introduce them and hope they get along. And when you work honeybees, you want to be slow and gentle. They don't like vibrations and shaking and noises. So when I'm looking for queens, I try to be real gentle. So I don't want her moving around quickly on the combs. If you want to see a queen, she's on the frame there with a green dot. We mark the queens for genetic purposes, so we know the genetics of this particular hive. And also she's easy to find. She's a long bee with kind of a circle around her there, and they're constantly feeding her. She can lay her weight 2 or 3 times a day in eggs. So that's a lot of egg productions when she's in full egg laying mode. And they're always cleaning her, maintaining her, making sure she's healthy and happy. Bees are insects that are social, have a social order in the hive. You'll have the queen bee, the drone, which is the male bee, and then the worker bees, which are sterile females. So there's a very structured social order in every one of these hives. Each bee has a job to do, and they do it. Anything from carrying water to caring for young to cleaning cells. All of those are critical jobs in the life of a bee. And in the summertime, The worker bees only last about 6 weeks. That's their lifetime. They literally wear themselves out as they work. Have you heard the term working yourself to death? Well, bees actually do that. They literally wear their wings out, wear their bodies out, and they don't make it back to the hive, and they're replaced immediately by new young bees as they move through their job cycle in the hive. Young bees start out as cell cleaners. They feed young bees, they become guard bees, and at the end of their cycle, they become forage bees. And the forage bees are the ones you see flying, gathering water, gathering nectar, gathering pollen. So very structured, and that's what makes them so interesting to work with. Is they're just an amazing insects. They're a miracle on wings, I guess you could say. But in this particular bee yard, you'll see a lot of hives with a lot of different size boxes on it. Some of them are for honey production. Those are the big hives with multiple supers. And supers are the sections of the box where the bees store their honey. Honey will darken as it ages. So we try to pull that season's honey off, or that particular summer's honey off that summer. Because if you leave it over the winter, it will darken up on you. Nothing wrong with it. Honey lasts forever, really. Honey is one of those foods that never spoils. Honey was found in some of the pyramids, and it was still good. If it granulates, all you need to do, put it in hot water, brings it back to life, and is as good as it ever was. And honey contains natural enzymes which the bees put in it, which people say is good for health and most anything it ails you. So I'm not saying that myself, but that's what some of our seniors say. They believe in honey for allergies, arthritis, rheumatism, all of those things. And if it works for them, then we want them to keep eating honey. We do not have feral bees as such in McDowell County anymore. Most of the feral stock died out after 1987 when the varroa mite and the tracheal mite came to the county. So most of the bees that are in the county are bees that have escaped from local beekeepers, which is a good thing. We're putting bees back in our trees, and we're spreading bee stock all over the county, and that helps everybody. We get better gardens. It helps people with their cucumbers, melons, the apple orchards. All of those require honeybees to pollinate in order to get a sound fruit, and that's a beautiful shaped melon or squash or cucumber or apple. So honeybees are critical to the economy of not only McDowell County but our country. 1 out of every 3 bites you take, you owe to a honeybee, because 1 out of every 3 bites of food was pollinated. And everything from a steak to the vegetables you eat, you owe to a honeybee, because alfalfa has to be pollinated, and alfalfa is fed to our beef stock. So honeybees are critical. So don't think of honeybees as just stinging insects. They're critical to our agricultural economy in this country. You know, we feed the world, and we're very dependent on these bees to take care of everything, like I say, from apples to almonds. And over the last 30 or 40 years, we've lost over half of our honeybees in this country. So we're at a critical stage in beekeeping in this country. So we're trying to recruit new beekeepers, young beekeepers, women, men, old people, young people. So we'd like to have more beekeepers, not less.